Recently, Netflix's masterpiece, The Platform, has released its shocking second installment. The first installment of The Platform in 2019 became an internet sensation upon release, regarded by countless people as a masterpiece of social metaphor. High concept, high setting, tense, suspenseful, thrilling. Second part continues setting of first, but with even greater scale than the first. Broader range of metaphors, higher mind-bending complexity. Many people say they don't get it. Today, we will take you to explore this masterpiece sequel together. The story still takes place in the vertical prison pit. The prison has a total of 333 levels, 2 people per level. The platform moves downwards from the first level at a fixed time every day. It stays on each level for about 4 minutes, so people on the lower levels can only eat the leftovers from the upper levels. After a month, they are reassigned to different levels. Which level you are assigned, that depends on luck. So the lower you go, the less food there is to eat. Those who can't get enough to eat have to find every possible way to survive, and then hope for the monthly reassignment. Not long after, a group of awakened individuals appeared in the prison. They established laws, stipulating that people on each level can only eat the type of food they chose before imprisonment, or voluntarily exchange food with others. This way it ensures that everyone on each level can survive. The platform slowly descends, reaching level 24. There is a tall man and a woman with an artistic demeanor here. The man discovers that more than half of his pizza has been eaten. He is very angry, decides to eat someone else's food in revenge, but above him are 2 awakened individuals. They keep persuading him that if he breaks the rules, the people below will starve to death. This month you are lucky, on level 24, but what about next month? The man hesitates a bit. The woman keeps urging him to follow the rules. The man finally gives up the idea of eating more. Soon, the message is passed up from below. Only eat the food you have chosen. This order is maintained only up to level 44. After that, it is interrupted. But this prison pit has a total of 333 levels. There are definitely many people below who have no food to eat. The awakened one on level 23 tells the man, tomorrow, the companions from levels 19 and 20 will go down to level 21 to protect your pizza. The companions from levels 42 and 43 will go to level 44 to ensure that the people below follow the rules. The next day, sounds of fighting come from the dining platform. The awakened ones maintaining order go down to level 21 and start fighting with the barbarians who were stealing pizza. The awakened one on level 23 calls upon the man and his cellmates to take up arms and maintain order together.
¿Qué hacemos?
男人还在犹豫，女人立刻开始行动。平台降下，上面躺着21层破坏规则的男人。
The man is still hesitating, but the woman immediately starts to act. The platform descends. Lying on it is the man from level 21 who broke the rules. Suddenly, someone from level 23 jumps down, because during the earlier fight, a lot of food splattered onto level 23. They didn't have time to clean it up. The only solution was to jump down. Because they stored food, the temperature on level 23 rose rapidly. An awakened one who couldn't escape was burned into a fireball and fell onto level 24. Due to this punitive action, almost no one really got to eat. The man thinks that the reason they didn't get to eat is not only because of the food thieves on level 21. The awakened ones are also responsible for this. He could have eaten other food yesterday, so he wouldn't be hungry today?
觉醒者的狱友死了，他疯狂打那个偷吃者，发泄了心里的不甘和愤怒。随后，觉醒者准备带着
The awakened one's cellmate died. He furiously beat the food thief, venturing his resentment and anger. Afterwards, the awakened one prepared to take the food thief down with him to search for other anointed ones. The anointed ones are those who have received the master's charity. This set of rules originated from this. A time ago, a master appeared in the prison. Someone was assigned to the bottom level of the prison with him. He copied the Buddha's act of cutting flesh to feed the eagle, cutting off the flesh from his own thigh to feed his cellmates. These people received the master's grace and began to promote and implement his concept of unity. These people were called the Unity Faction. The most loyal of the Unity Faction are these anointed ones. After listening to the awakened one's story, the man was not moved at all. Instead, he sarcastically called him Robespierre. Robespierre was a leftist revolutionary during the French Revolution who advocated for maintaining legal order through harsh laws. When the platform descended the next day, the man found that his pizza was indeed intact. Overjoyed, he began to eat heartily. Meanwhile, the awakened one, after finishing his own food, dumped the food of the person who died yesterday into the toilet. He declared, "The law forbids us from eating more than one portion of food. If the law allows inequality to occur, then problems will arise. For example, someone might choose to kill their cellmate. Choose to kill your cellmate. You must ensure every day that these leftovers reach here intact, then supervise the root causes of these inequalities. Of course, you can also exchange with each other, but the premise is that you must throw away your own portion of food. Trust me, this is the best solution." After speaking, the awakened one carried the food thief from the 21st floor onto the dining platform. He meant take the barbarian down to the gathering place of the anointed ones to subject him to severe punishment. After awakened left, the woman enforced the rules he left behind, throw away all the leftovers. But the man started having crooked thoughts. If he only eats his own portion of food, he can only ensure he doesn't starve to death. But to be full, he must steal others' food. While the woman wasn't attentive, he stole a piece of pork belly. Soon it was the end of the month. They were about to switch floors. The woman is an artist. She painted an abstract painting in the style of Picasso on the wall. The man said he wasn't as foolish as he seemed. He dedicated his life to mathematics, but ultimately gave it up, all because of the square root of 1. The solution to this root is called an imaginary number in mathematics. The concept of imaginary numbers contradicts any physical reality in the universe, so he could no longer believe in mathematics. He quit his job, left research, even abandoned his wife and children. The woman found to grasp, therefore he abandoned his wife and children. Isn't that crazy? Moreover, fictional. What's the problem with that? She is an artist. Fiction is precisely the way art is created. The man curiously asked, "So how did you end up here?" The woman's name was Peren. She came here because she needed time. At an art exhibition. She didn't listen to her friend's advice, insisted on exhibiting a piece of art that was very sharp in a physical sense, and did not take proper safety precautions. The child accidentally slipped and fell. An accident occurred. Peren hired a lawyer and won the lawsuit. Later on, she sold the artwork at a high price, but she still fell into a whirlpool of conscience, so she chose to come here to repent for her mistakes. At that moment, news came from below. Under the protection of the law, the food had reached the 175th floor. Everyone cheered with joy. Peren was also very relieved. She invited the man to dance with her. A month passed. Upon waking up, Peren found they had rotated to the 180th floor. This was a very bad floor, even according to the latest developments. They had no food to eat. The man was already in despair, but Peren did not lose heart. The situation is getting better and better. Maybe the food could reach this floor. News came from above. The communication chain stopped at the 169th floor. The man immediately changed his attitude. Originally, he was deeply resentful of those who restricted his freedom to eat. But at this moment, he changed his stance. He hoped that Robespierre's group could strictly enforce the law to punish those lawbreakers. Peren still remained confident about the food. Because she abided by the law should provide her with basic survival guarantees. But the man said, "We learned to respect the law on the 24th floor. It was a subtle and hopeful floor, but here respecting the law is meaningless." The platform descended, no miracle happened. There was no food, even the plates were licked clean. Peren was both shocked and angry. She chose to abide by the law when she was on the upper floors, but after rotating to lower floors, the law surprisingly did not guarantee her rights. Even though she didn't get any food, facing the fate of starving to death, the loyalists below still praised the master.
Ahí seguirá firme su casa invisible. Ahí seguirá firme su casa invisible.
Time passed day by day. Peren and the others hadn't eaten for several days in a row. The men were unbearably hungry. They started burning their palms with a lighter to distract themselves. Peren quickly stopped them. Just at that moment, a head fell from the skylight. The lower-level prison erupted in cheers. This was the Anointed One, using thunderous means to punish those barbaric people who overate and stole food. They believed that food would soon arrive. Some men even thought that one head was too few. All lawbreakers should be executed. The loyalists from the upper level shouted that the law is power. The law is strictness and order. The righteous will remain righteous. Those who are tainted will continue to be tainted. The Anointed One descended to keep order. Lawbreakers were continuously thrown down the skylight. Soon, good news arrived. The Anointed had established communication. Last month's lawbreakers would also be thoroughly dealt with. A man on the 24th floor secretly ate a piece of pork belly. This matter had already reached the Anointed One. The man did not defend himself. He was a fat man. Eating one sliced pizza obviously couldn't satisfy him, so he broke the law on the 24th floor. Thinking about his recent curse to eradicate lawbreakers, thinking that he was also one of the lawbreakers, he suddenly felt a wave of guilt and helplessness. In fact, he was not really a mathematician. The square root of 1 was just a fabricated excuse. He was indeed a complete fraud and a failure, driven out of the house by his wife, sent to prison by his parents. His life was full of mistakes, deceit, and lies. Even in the prison, he remained a disruptor of rules and order. Thinking of this, the man completely broke down. The man set himself ablaze, turning into a fireball and falling into the sky. Peren began to doubt the laws set by the Anointed One, although the man lied and broke rules. He should have had a chance to reform, but the harsh rules indeed drove him to a dead end. Soon, another month passed. Peren reached level 51. She had a new cellmate, and the food this cellmate chose was plums. Soon the food platform descended. People above still did not follow the rules. The new cellmate's plums were eaten messily. Peren noticed her cellmate's arm was disabled. Although she was very curious, she did not ask. Suddenly, a message came from below. There was a brute on level 54. This person literally gorged like a pig on the second level, eating until he vomited every day. Perrin felt rage. She wanted to team up with the people on level 52 to deal with this bastard. But the people on level 52 said, according to the law, only the 4 people directly above have the right to go down and enforce the law. Perrin was deeply disgusted by these gluttonous bastards from the upper levels. It was because of these rule breakers that she almost starved to death. Ignoring the restrictions of the rules, she took up a weapon and got on the dining platform. Her cellmate followed her up. Soon they descended to the level where the Anointed One was, but the Anointed One was not appreciative, and even accused them of breaking the law. This would lead to a communication chain disruption. Perrin didn't care about any damn communication chain. She just wanted to punish the violator. The Anointed One did not stop them. To keep the communication from being interrupted, one of the Anointed Ones chose to stay behind. Soon, the platform descended to the 54th floor. A melee was about to break out. The violator was outnumbered. In the end, Perrin spared the violator. The fellow inmates were constantly anxious, because although they subdued the violator, coming down on their own also counted as breaking the law. They would definitely be punished by Dakin, since she came here. She had always obeyed the law, only eating her own food, subduing violators when necessary. But once they encountered a young man, he was malnourished, barely alive, so they shared a deceased person's food with him. But a few days later, an Anointed One arrived. His name was Dakin Barbie, the strictest and most ruthless of the Anointed Ones. He decided to make an example. By enforcing a cautionary punishment, we took the deceased person's food. Even if it was to save a life, he still considered it a violation of the law, showing no compassion at all. In the end, I lost an arm. My fellow inmate fought back desperately, gouged out Dakin's eyes. Dakin ordered her to be tied naked on the platform, and sent her to the lowest level. I watched helplessly as the people on the lower level devoured her alive. Perrin was very shocked after hearing this, but she still defended the Anointed Ones. Last month, one of the Anointed Ones saved many people who were about to starve. We need to continue helping others, make this place more fair. We must persevere until we leave here. The fellow inmate said in despair, "Don't you understand yet? No one can leave here. No one can survive here." Just as Perrin was falling into despair, the fellow inmate said, "At the end of each month, the prison pit is reset. They will use gas to knock us out. As long as we can find a way not to inhale this gas, there will be a chance to escape." The next day, the Anointed Ones had already reached above Perrin. Corpses kept falling from the skylights. A man, bloody and battered, was tied to the bottom of the dining platform. He was about to be sent to the bottom as food. Soon, Dakin arrived at level 51 with a group of Anointed Ones. Perrin and his fellow inmate shivered. Dakin began his judgment. He questioned the Anointed One on level 52. "You clearly know the rule of the last 4. Why didn't you stop them from participating in the pacification action?" The Anointed One explained that I stayed in place to ensure the communication chain would not be interrupted. Dakin delivered the verdict first when it was your turn to go down. You did not go down. Secondly, you let them go down, so you are guilty of double negligence. You will likely lose an arm. The Anointed One's cellmate will also face punishment for allowing Perrin and the others to go down. She desperately defended herself.
Es más, aquel que obra así, tarde o temprano.
He coldly said to Perrin, "You have committed a crime. You will definitely lose an arm." Dakin spoke passionately. "We kill people to create a future where no one kills. There are many savages below. Only fear can tame the beast. Fear is information." Soon the execution begins. The Anointed One used a rope to tie Perrin and the others' arms to the edge of the atrium. As the dining table descends, screams echoed throughout the prison pit, intimidating the restless savages below. A month later, Perrin was rotated to level 72. His cellmate was an elderly man who seemed kind. After the incident with the severed arm, Perrin was disenchanted with the Anointed Ones. These people made and interpreted the so-called laws. Their original aims were good, but they failed to ensure everyone follows the law, but also evolved new forms of violence and control. Life at the bottom of the hunger platform remained unchanged. On the contrary, under the oppression of harsh laws, the mind set on change. A major internal conflict seemed inevitable. Perrin had strong opinions about the harsh laws, but he also disagreed with the liberals' approach of indulging desires for the moment, because that would inevitably lead to more deaths. So here, with limited resources and unable to achieve absolute fairness, survival becomes an unsolvable problem. The only solution is to escape. The old man sharing the cell with him was a complete liberal. The food platform, he would start gorging himself, completely disregarding any laws. Perrin suddenly had an idea. There must be many more liberals below. Why not unite to fight against the Anointed Ones? Even if it can't solve the problem, it can still create chaos, providing an opportunity to find a way to escape. The old man immediately agreed with her. They rode the food platform downwards, lobbying floor, persuading those punished by the anointed ones, and those at the bottom who couldn't get food to join them. No one dislikes freedom. Soon, the liberal forces gradually grew stronger. They even had their own slogan, "We are born free." These loyalists hate freedom, so they just hate us. This rhetoric became their manifesto against the loyalists. Soon, the platform descended to the 93rd floor. Perrin finally found what she was looking for. It was a painting, and it was also her key to escape. The liberals gathered on the 93rd floor. They indulged in eating, drinking, giving in to their desires. Perrin knew a great battle was imminent. The next day, trays fell like raindrops. Dakin led the loyalists down from above, but he did not start a direct battle. Instead, he cut off their food supply. As for the loyalists on the lower levels, they could only become sacrifices to uphold the law. Looking at the empty dining table, everyone was at a loss. Suddenly, the old man said, "If we go down, what if we eat them?" Everyone cheered after hearing this. Dakin could not tolerate his people being eaten like that. Soon he led his men to the lower levels and engaged in a battle with the liberals. This chaotic battle was tumultuous and extremely brutal. In the end, only Perrin and the old man survived. They endured with great difficulty. No matter how hungry they were, Perrin never ate human flesh. The time for rotation was approaching. Perrin tore the canvas into pieces and swallowed it. She fainted suffocation and did not inhale the anesthetic gas. After waking up, Perrin found the prison pit was in a zero-gravity state. She wandered in a field of green light. A group of masked people in black were packing the sleeping prisoners and sending them to different floors. In a daze, Perrin arrived at level 333. A boy was placed on the dining table as food. A man across from her handed her a knife. Perrin hesitated, struggling, but ultimately controlled her desires. She suddenly resisted and saved the boy. Then she took the platform down to the lowest level. This was the dwelling place of the spirits. The spirit told her, "Your journey is over, but he has one more chance." After saying this, they placed the boy on the platform together, watching him slowly ascend. In the real world, Perrin, due to her obsession and greed, failed to take proper precautions, resulting in the death of a child. Atoning for her sin, she came to the prison pit. On the brink of starvation, she let go of her greed and saved another child. At this moment, she finally cleansed her sins, achieving redemption and rebirth. But whether it was this boy or the girl from the first part, messages were sent up one after another, yet they still couldn't change their fate. Stuck in their social class, there was no escape. The lower class seeks fairness, the middle class seeks freedom, the upper class seeks privilege. But resources are limited, so conflicts can never be reconciled. The so-called law can never truly be fair. It can only protect the interests of those who already have them. Fairness is not important. Adhering to the rules is important. Whether it's the law of nature, each according to their luck from the first part,